I ran into the weed and they opened fire on me. I don't know what happened next.
We saw such badly deformed bodies, some of them totally burnt away. I saw naked survivors running everywhere.
Then the soldier kicked open the door. They came into the room two at a time. When we saw them, me and my sister were terrified.
The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights states categorically, everyone has the right to education. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall further the activities of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. But in areas like Gaza, Afghanistan and Iraq, can those rights really be upheld? Can children surrounded by conflict and violence on a daily basis really continue to study, pass exams and secure their future? Almost 1/3 of the 115 million children in the world who do not receive primary education live in countries affected by war. In Afghanistan, forces opposed to the idea of general education bomb and burn schools and threaten or murder children and teachers. In Iraq, more than 300 academics have been murdered since Saddam's downfall. More than 10,000 teachers have fled abroad. And in Gaza, doctors report that 90% of children under 11 reveal physical signs of stress caused by conflict and ongoing siege. Early morning at MAARI school in Al-Karara village, a rural community on the edge of the Gaza town of Khan Yunis. At first sight, it looks just like any other school. But in the background to the familiar scene of children playing is the noise of rockets, bullets and tank fire. This soundtrack of violence is ignored by both children and teachers. It's all too familiar. The children at MAARI have more immediate concerns on their minds. It's time for the end-of-year exams. War directly affects children's ability to learn, and statistics show the exam success of almost every child in Gaza is likely to be badly affected by the unending conflict. In the case of MAARI school, this conflict is especially close to home.
We were in the middle of an exam when it happened. The fighters blew up a jeep and the Israelis responded. Fighting broke out, so we threw the exam papers down and hid under the desks. We were crying and shouting, and the teachers told us to hide. We were stuck in the classroom. They couldn't evacuate us because the bullets were whizzing past the school.
The Israeli barrier stretches all along the eastern border of the Gaza Strip. It's about 2 kilometers from the school, so if anything happens, they're at our doorstep within 10 minutes. If the children hear a helicopter overhead, they know they're going to attack. You'll find everyone running and hiding. So our whole life is filled with fear.
What about you, the teachers, the adults? How does it affect you?
Of course, we're human beings too, and we get scared. But we have to control our fear in front of the students, because if they feel that we're afraid, that will unsettle them more.
The olive groves and the homes that once came up to the school walls have been flattened by the many incursions. Now it's a wasteland. This is the outside wall of the school, and just last month an Israeli tank came down here and bulldozed its way through the wall and into the playground. At the same time, Israeli soldiers removed local people from their homes and put them on the balconies of the school behind me. Now, they've told us that they believe they were being used as human shields. Well, you can imagine the kind of huge psychological impact that has on the children here. Children and teachers say they come several times a month with tanks, bulldozers and aircraft. This footage was taken just a few weeks before our visit. Often what provokes these incursions are rocket attacks on Israel by members of the Palestinian resistance.
I was awake and I heard the tanks rolling in. A short while later, the fighting started. The soldiers came up to the house and started shouting, "Open the door! Open the door!" They came in and took us outside. They put us near to the school canteen. Then they took us upstairs to the balcony. I was afraid they might take us to the east to beat us.
At dawn, the fighting started. We heard mortar shells being fired by the resistance. We didn't know what to do, so we just sat in the room. Then the soldier kicked open the door. They came into the room 2 at a time. When we saw them, me and my sister were terrified. They had painted their faces, black on this side and green on the other. So I got scared and started shouting and crying. The soldier pointed his gun straight at me. I started screaming, "Mom!" My mom held me and said to the soldier, "She is just a young girl. She doesn't know what she is doing. She's screaming because you are here." He hit me. I fell to the floor and passed out.
They often come to our house and they kick the doors open. When the girls hear them coming, they run to me and throw themselves into my arms. Especially these 2 girls. I hold this one here and the other one here, exactly like this.
The world of security of the child is shattered, particularly when the violence is directed against the symbol of security, like the father or the house. And if that happens, the child becomes so frightened that he needs always to be protected and feel secure.
Even the most dedicated of pupils aren't immune to the violence around them.
There's always shooting, and we are always nervous. We try and study, but we can't. We are always scared and tense. The minute we open a book, we hear gunfire, so we leave the books aside and hide. I used to score excellent grades when I was younger. I was better then. Before I was scoring 100%, and now I only get 97 because of the difficult situation.
And it's not just the violence. As with all supplies in Gaza, the electricity is erratic, frequently cut for days at a time. Yet determined and ambitious children like Wallah still manage to study.
I used to go out to buy stuff for my sisters, but now we cannot go out after sunset. We live in darkness. We have no freedom. Children around the world live in freedom, except for us. We feel trapped, confined. It's the same as living in a prison. We feel caged. We can't get out.